Hello and welcome to the Newsmax Daily podcast. The day is Thursday, October 10th, and I am Kay Smythe, your fill-in host today, as the legend that is Tony Marino, like many of our kin right now, is battling the impacts of Hurricane Milton today, as far as I know. Tony is hunkered down in Florida and is doing well, but as Florida Senator Rick Scott explained to Greta Van Susteren last night, Milton is not the type of hurricane to go gentle into that good night. Let's get straight into it today. Take it away.
Florida U.S. Senator Rick Scott joins me by phone. Senator Scott was also the 45th governor of Florida from 2011 to 2019. Good evening, sir. And I guess if any state has to be hit by such a catastrophe, your state probably is the best prepared because you got experience, something you don't want. So your thoughts tonight?
Well, my thoughts are for people. I hope they listened. Chief Bevan, I know, has done a great job in the Bradenton area. Our sheriffs across, emergency responders, everybody's doing everything they can to get people to get out of harm's way. I mean, I want everybody to stay alive. You know, I had 4 hurricanes, one each of my last 4 years. My whole goal was nobody die. So right now, everybody needs to, where you are, maybe if you're on the east or Orlando, you can still get out, but probably if you're on the west, you can't get out. There's no place to go now. So you got to hunker down and take care of yourself and take care of your family, take care of your friends. As you talked about, we've had tornadoes. The rain is already set. Our state is saturated with water right now. We've had unbelievable amounts of rain this year. That means there's going to be a lot of downed trees, which means there's going to be a lot of power lines down. We've got the wind is picking up. So I hope everybody stays safe. We're going to find out in the morning how many people didn't evacuate. I've traveled east, the West Coast all the last probably 7 days, and doing my best to get people out. But I hear stories of people in Sanibel after what happened there with Ian 2 years ago, staying. And I just tell people, be careful. And then once this passes, and if you're alive, and I hope everybody is, watch for trees, watch for power lines. Don't use a generator inside your house. You probably are going to be without, water. You're probably going to be without power, a lot of people. So it's going to be a tough night for a lot of people.
You know, what a difference. Like if you have a war and some other country's trying to invade you can send in the military to defend yourself. You can't. I mean, there's very little that the federal government or the state government or local government can do except try to get you to get out of there and do some preparation in advance, having shelters and everything else. But this is such a different enemy to fight Mother Nature.
Yeah, you can't fight Mother Nature. We're going to have as much as 13 foot of storm surge, it looks like, in places. Well, 6 foot of storm surge kills you. So all along the west coast of Florida, you've got to be careful. Because if you're foolish enough to stay in a one-story, it's over.
All right, guys, I just want to use this moment to give a big shout out to all the real storm chasers out there who are down in Florida documenting this thing as he arrives. But I also want to shout out all of the not real storm chasers. You absolute idiots. You guys either traveled to or decided to stay in Florida during Milton, yet you are the stupidest people to me right now. And to be honest with you, that's saying something in 2024. We've got a lot of dumb people out there these days, but the wannabe weather influencers, you are some of the worst right now. You know, it's not just the glorification of the total destruction of life and property that irks me. It's just how dangerous and unqualified a lot of these people are for storm chasing. Anyway, I just want to give a shout out to the real storm chasers. Mother Nature is obviously significantly more powerful than us. And I think she deserves a lot more respect. And these clout chasers over there on TikTok being like, oh, look at me, I'm in a high rise. Oh. Anyway, here is a far more professional explanation for just how significant Milton is. It's AccuWeather's Alex De Silva explaining to Newsmax last night exactly what Florida was kind of in for throughout the night last night.
How bad is it? Well, we're joined now by a lead hurricane expert at AccuWeather, Alex De Silva. Alex, give us the latest.
Yeah, so we right now have a very dangerous situation going on in the Tampa-St. Petersburg area. A flash flood emergency going on right now. This area right here, Tampa-St. Petersburg area, we have over 17 inches of rain being reported at this Tampa-St. Pete airport right now. Widespread reports approaching a foot of rain right now. So a very, very dangerous situation going on right there. And alongside that, we're seeing wind gusts well over hurricane force. There's been wind gusts reported over 100 miles per hour near the mouth of the bay there, as well as Sarasota.
Well, Alex, heavy rain, 17 inches is remarkable, but heavy rains and high winds pushing that Gulf into the coast. Sounds like we could have some significant storm surge. What do you know about that?
Yeah, well, certainly Tampa Bay. Luckily, the storm moved a little further south. Tampa Bay is going to be spared the catastrophic storm surge. We were always saying that miles matter when it comes to this storm. If the storm had moved a little further north, that really would have shoved all that water into Tampa Bay. The storm made landfall just south of Tampa Bay, right like that, but it's really pushing that water in there. Places like Sarasota and even way down into Naples, the water levels are still rising at this hour right now. High tide is not till after midnight Eastern time. So the water levels, even though the storm has pushed inland, a lot of these areas are still being inundated with water, and the water levels continue to rise.
Okay, again, now I want to tune into Florida Attorney General Ashley Moore's final evacuation warnings from last night. For all of you listening who weren't able to see the original broadcast, Newsmax host Bianca De La Garza shows a live shot of St. Petersburg Bridge, which, to be honest with you, looked like something out of a horror movie. Unfortunately, it was probably a Stephen King adaptation, and he's just gone off the deep end as far as I'm concerned. But very good at setting atmosphere within his writing. We're sort of seeing this very dense fog blocking what is typically a gorgeous view in the Sunshine State. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to let Bianca take it away. She's way better at this than me.
Most people have left, and that is a good thing because time is running out. This may be one of the most destructive storms on record for Florida, and it comes just weeks after Hurricane Helene. I see one car there getting out of Dodge, cutting it pretty close. So pleased to have in again with us today with more on what's happening in the state. Florida's Attorney General Ashley Moody, welcome in. So good to see you. Thank you very much for your time. Tell us exactly where things stand right now. Governor DeSantis is worried about a fuel shortage. Potentially, we know there's also concerns about, people who haven't left. Is there still time?
Yeah, so we're cutting it down to the wire. Right now, the message is for anyone who's still debating whether to follow an evacuation order, stop the debate. We are asking Floridians, don't panic. We have strategies in place to protect lives. We're going to execute the plan, but we need you to focus on saving and protecting your life. Time to go far distances, that's running short. We want people to focus on getting to shelters within the counties that they are located right now. And you can go to floridadisaster.org/shelters to find where there are shelters. There's still room. We have plenty of room. And we know that it is a big ask to leave your home. Everything in our beings want us to protect our families, protect our homes. That's innate in all of us. But when it comes down to protecting your home, if you're in that storm surge area, you are not going to be able to protect it from what we're expecting in terms of this water. They are also worried about looting and getting back into their homes after the storm passes. We are going to be so strong and focused on making sure we're getting you back into your home and we're protecting vulnerable areas where there's no electricity and the protection mechanisms you may have in place, like security systems may not be there. We're on it. We're going to be out in force with law enforcement to protect the physical home. So we need you to save your life and get to safety.
Save your life. That is the message. And I think it is getting word to people. We just saw that one solo car there, a little bit late, but in the nick of time. There has been a lot of politics in regards to this, and there was a comment on CNN I'd like to play because obviously Ron DeSantis, yourself, your administration has been ahead of this, preparing. There's supplies here. There's linemen all ready, as you just said, to go in once it is safe. And, Kamala Harris will be out with Joe Biden in a few minutes talking about a hurricane briefing as if they are concerned after what we saw in Helene. Let's play this and get your reaction on the flip side.
I think she was talking about Ron DeSantis. He did not ignore her call. And in fact, according to what I've read tonight, he actually spoke to the president of the United States.
He
Joe
did speak
Biden.
with President Biden.
And he has said time and again that he and the federal government are working well together. So who here is politicizing this?
Yeah,
Harris.
I hate to agree with Scott on anything, but I agree.
I hate to agree because he's right. I mean, it is the elephant in the room. Joe Biden is being very clear, saying he's in communication with Ron DeSantis. They're speaking. She's saying they're not, Ashley. Why? Why is she doing that?
Well, keep in mind, when you have storms of this magnitude, the responsibilities that you're juggling as governor of the state of Florida this size is immense. So you've got shelters, gas, protecting the communities, cleaning up debris, by the way, of a storm we just had. We've had 2 major hurricanes in 2 weeks. That is an astounding feat for any governor to handle. So when I tell you this man focuses it is unbelievable how focused on mission he remains.
Yeah.
And if you are not a necessary person that he needs to speak with to protect Floridians right now, he is only focused on accomplishing that mission. So I am so glad to hear that he and President Biden are speaking about how do we best serve the American people and Floridians right now. And that is par for the course with this governor. He's remained true to mission since he took that oath of office.
We have seen it, and it is going to be a very destructive storm. We're just hours away from it making landfall. That's why we're so glad you could get that information out. And again, just that website one more time, Ms. Moody, Florida.
FloridaDisaster.org/shelters. You can evacuate within your own county, and there's plenty of space available. We'd ask you to do that as soon as possible.
I pray people heed that warning. Thank you so much, Attorney General of Florida, Ashley Moody. We'll be checking back in with you, I'm sure, in the coming days. Thank you so much.
Up next, I want to listen to Tampa resident Dan Marthala. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, Dan. But he was pressed by Sean Kreisman and Emma Retchenberg on his decision to not go with the evacuation warnings and stay at home during Milton. Guys, when I first saw this clip, I thought, oh, this guy is insane, like the TikTok influencers. No, this is a very different demographic. After listening to Dan, I now realize that we have some major education and civility problems in this country that I think we can mitigate. But anyway, we're going to listen to this and some really key points that Dan raised that I think everyone should listen to.
Hurricane Milton heading toward Florida as we speak. The storm now Category 4, according to the National Hurricane Center, expected to make landfall sometime tonight. Thousands have evacuated. Universities, colleges have closed down. Airports, cruise ports also shutting down.
And we've been reporting about the evacuation process, but there are those that choose not to evacuate. We'll bring in Dan Marthala. He's a Tampa resident. He says he's staying where he is despite evacuation orders. Dan, thanks for coming on to talk about this. It's a very serious storm. I'm sure you know that. The storm surge now at where you are, sitting at least expectations of 12 feet. The obvious question, why are you staying?
Sure. I just want to say thank you for having me. And it was not an easy decision that we came to. Obviously, my girlfriend and I, Jade, came to the decision together. We have 5 animals. And we looked at some of the places that we would go to, and we looked at going south. And we're sure as heck glad that we didn't make that decision too early. We looked at going a little bit further east into the state. And, that looks like it's going to get poured on. We're the most familiar with this area. We're the most familiar with our surroundings here, with the flooding and the evacuation zone, if it does come to that at some point, rather than being in some place that we don't know, and then you have an evacuation there as well, and what would be the next steps there.
Yeah. And again, this is despite calls from state officials saying get out of town because there's concerns about being able to access people who might need assistance after the fact. Are you prepared for that? Are you prepared to not be reachable by, local authorities, first responders?
Absolutely. We took all the necessary precautions. I mean, we have both cars filled with gas, and, obviously we're looking at a much different storm than we've ever seen before with this amount of rainfall and water, and the roads won't be available, but we do have the cars filled with gas once we are able to have that evacuation route. And we also have the food and the water, and we have 3 floors, so we'll be at the top of that, the middle of that if needed, and just we have everything. We have our plan to stay safe. We have our go bags if necessary, but we definitely feel safest here at this point in time.
Dan, can I, if I may, in terms of your housing, are you in a tower? Are you in a house? Can you explain that to us?
Sure. I'm in about like a 5-section townhouse. So it's just about 5 townhouses connected to each other. and we're on the end of that.
So you're on the ground then?
Correct. We have a first floor, and then we have multiple other floors.
Yeah. I wanted to play Governor Ron DeSantis. He spoke a little while ago to Florida residents. That would obviously be you, your girlfriend. And here's what he had to say.
There is going to be a lot of damage from this storm. There's going to be opportunities for people to try to take advantage of that. My message to you is don't even think about it. We are going to come down hard on you. You are not going to you're going to regret that you tried to do that. So I appreciate all the other folks from out of state who are coming in to supplement this effort. We need to maintain law and order.
And we play that because, again, obviously, as you know, if you've lived in Florida, you know, there are looters that come after these storms, go into homes. And unfortunately, this does happen. They're going to be tough on that. I say they, meaning the Florida response teams. Did that play into your thought process of why you didn't leave?
I would not say that was a make or break decision, but that definitely did come into play. And we live near Bayshore, which, you know, you go down just 2 or 3 blocks, there's multi-million-dollar houses. So I would imagine that if the storm were to hit here and how many residents did evacuate here, that would be a location for looters.
Yeah.
However,
Dan, let me just jump in really quickly because I'm short on time with you, but I just wanted, because you said you didn't go south. I understand that. You didn't go east. We understand that. But why didn't you go north? And then secondly, a two-parter, you do realize that, again, if you have these 12-foot surges and there's no power, you could be stuck where you are for quite some time, putting you and your girlfriend at risk. And again, still okay with that?
Sure. And the question back to you, I guess, would be how far north is okay? Because they're telling us to evacuate 10s of 20s of miles and not have to leave the state. And we know people as far as Wesley Chapel that went to the other coast. And I'm not sure that took them out of harm's way any more than they were safe in Wesley Chapel. So that all played into our decision as well. And the people that we would go see a little bit further north evacuated that direction as well. And so, you know, that was a decision, but, you know, we had to stick with it.
Yeah.
This might just be me interpreting things here, but it seems like Dan and maybe a lot of other residents didn't really have enough options or information on how best to act in this situation. You know, there's so much uncertainty that goes hand in hand with extreme weather events. We obviously saw that during Hurricane Helene. But one of the best ways to sort of mitigate this issue is to obviously start with our children, make sure that our education system is teaching them the absolute basics of geography. You know, this is something that we do where I'm from back in the UK. You know, we don't get extreme weather like you guys do out here, but we do get a lot of rain. We do get a lot of flooding. And so that's kind of wrapped up into our education system. So it's just sort of part of our natural instincts as we grow to know how to act in these situations. But for obviously like adult populations, I think this really comes down to a major trust issue that we have with our institutions, whether it's government, academia. And quite frankly, after listening to President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris make some serious storm warnings about Milton, after listening to these two, I totally get why you don't trust them. So let's just sit through this, guys, because honestly, like, we're so close to the election. I just feel like everyone has to hear this.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring you in here, listening to President Biden on a hurricane briefing, dealing with Hurricane Milton. Here is the president.
To support impacted communities. I spoke with the Florida Governor DeSantis, with Mayor Tampa Castor, the Tampa mayor, the Clearwater mayor, Rector, and the Pinellas County Chairwoman Peters. I offer them everything we need, everything we have, everything they need. And I made it clear to them they should reach out if there's anything more they need. I gave them my personal phone number here at the White House to contact me directly if that's necessary. Let me close with this. I want to thank the governors of all the affected areas over the last couple weeks. Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia. You know, we've been in constant contact, and they've been very thankful and appreciative of the help the federal government is providing. And I'm appreciative of all they're doing as well. And I've told them to contact me with anything else they need. We have made available an unprecedented number of assets to deal with this crisis. We're going to continue to do so until the job is done. But now I want to be clear about something. For the last few weeks, there's been a reckless, irresponsible, and relentless promotion of disinformation and outright lies that are disturbing people. It's undermining confidence in the incredible rescue and recovery work that has already been taken and will continue to be taken. And it's harmful to those who need help the most. There is simply no place for this to happen. Former President Trump has led the onslaught of lies assertions have been made that property is being confiscated. That's simply not true. They're saying people impacted by these storms will receive $750 in cash and no more. That's simply not true. They're saying the money is needed for this crisis is being diverted to migrants. What a ridiculous thing to say. It's not true. Now the claims are getting even more bizarre. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a congresswoman of Georgia, is now saying the federal government is literally controlling the weather. We're controlling the weather. It's beyond ridiculous. It's got to stop. In moments like this, there are no red or blue states. There's one United States of America where neighbors are helping neighbors. Volunteers and first responders are risking everything, including their own lives, to help their fellow Americans. State, local, and federal officials are standing side by side. Let me repeat, no one should make the American people question whether their governments will make sure that this disaster when it strikes, they'll be there. We will, all of us. I'm going to turn it over to Harris, if that's okay with all of you. Thank you. Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Liz, thank you for the work that you have been doing. As the president said, we've been working around the clock to prepare for Hurricane Milton and to ensure that people are safe, including ensuring federal, state, and local resources are being coordinated in a smart and efficient and effective way. We have also been in constant contact with the leaders in Florida to make sure that we are cutting any red tape that might get in the way of getting relief to folks, to make sure also that communities receive the resources and the support that they need as quickly as possible. Already, we have sent more than 1,000 federal personnel to be on the ground in Florida to assist with what needs to happen in the state to prepare for this hurricane, and we will continue to scale up those efforts. To the people of Florida, and in particular the people of the Tampa region, we urge you to take this storm seriously. As has been said before, this is a storm that is expected to be of historic proportion. And many of you, I know, are tough, and you've ridden out these hurricanes before. This one's going to be different. And so we ask you that by every measure, understand it's going to be more dangerous, more deadly, and more catastrophic. So please listen to your local officials. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. And if you are told to evacuate, please evacuate immediately. Do not wait until it is too late. And in the hours and days ahead, President Biden and I and our administration will continue to do everything we can to protect the people who have been in the path of this storm. And once the storm has passed, we will be there to help folks recover and rebuild, as we continue to do for those communities in Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, and across the Southeast who have been devastated by Hurricane Helene. Finally, as the president mentioned, to any company that or individual that might use this crisis to exploit people who are desperate for help through illegal fraud or price gouging, whether it be at the gas pump, the airport, or the hotel counter, know that we are monitoring these behaviors and the situation on the ground very closely, and anyone taking advantage of consumers will be held accountable. The bottom line is this hurricane poses an extreme danger, and we urge everyone in Florida to take extreme caution. And we are with you, and we will get through this together.
Okay, is it just me, or do these warnings feel more like our leaders covering themselves after their disastrous response to Hurricane Helene a couple of weeks ago? Like, I don't know who told Biden that anyone thinks the federal response to Helene has been good, or anyone is like particularly grateful, in the same way that I haven't really heard that many people say similar things about what happened in Hawaii with the wildfires, same thing in Ohio with the train derailment. Like, I'm not hearing that. But last thing I just want to say today is I really don't like Biden kind of just like made this very like politicky. Like, I don't think natural disasters are the time for politicking. And I really think we deserve better. Don't you? Thank you for tuning in today to the NEWSMAX Daily podcast. My name is Kay Smythe. I'm a campaign and content writer for millionvoices.org. You can catch me Tuesdays and Thursdays for Culture Clash on Carl Higby's Frontline, exclusively on Newsmax. And thank you, Tony, for letting me fill in today. That's again, the excellent Tony Marino, who we all know and love. And yeah, just stay safe, America. God bless.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Hey, it's Jerry Callahan from The Callahan Show. You can listen to us every day. We react to the latest news, politics, sports, and all the madness in the world. I'll give you my opinion with a little edge, a little attitude. I'm an unapologetic right-winger, trapped behind enemy lines in deep blue Boston, so I'm used to taking on the mainstream media mob. You can hear us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can listen every day at newsmax.com/listen.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news.